What's up, YouTube? This is Marl Games with one of my first uploads in 10 years since I last did my series on Protection Paladins and Wrath of the Lich King. Um, so here with WoW's classic release just about to happen, I thought I would make some videos about playing a Protection Paladin in classic vanilla World of Warcraft. Um, kind of showing my UI, my gear, and what I carry in my bags with me. Just maybe I don't think there's a lot of resources out there for prot pallies, and so not a lot of people do it. So it's a fun thing to try if you've played WoW a bunch. And I mean, I wouldn't recommend it for your first character, but if you like tanking and you are curious about paladins, then do it. It's pretty fun. Um, Obviously, you can't really do raiding as a protection paladin, as a tank, just because you don't have a taunt. Theoretically, you could be like a number 4, number 3 off tank. I've actually seen that before, but I think the paladin who was doing it was like the guild leader, so it is a lot of work if you want to do it. But it is possible. That's all I'm saying. If you're dedicated enough, you can be that raiding protection paladin. Um, Me though, I run a spec that allows me to heal in raids, but then I'm still full protections, so that's what I do in 5 mans. And that's how I've gotten most of my gear, is just tanking. Um, So yeah, I can start by going through my abilities, my UI. I'm using a add-on called Bongos for the 1.12 client. And you can see I have 8 action bars for abilities. Kind of a lot, um, but definitely necessary. 16 alone, or no, 12. Well, let's see. Paladins have a lot of blessings. Looks like they have around 14, so 15. So that's great. That you need that many buttons dedicated to blessings, but you use them all at some point. Anyway, um, so I bind my heals to my mouse wheel just because when you're healing you just spam a lot. So mouse wheel's perfect for that. Along with cleanse, having cleanse quick on your fingers is very good. Um, so this row here is mouse wheeled up. This is Q, Shift Q, Control Q. So I kind of use that for situational things. These are my Stratholme holy waters. I gather a lot of those. Just as one of your strengths as a protection paladin is that you can AoE farm like a beast, especially against undeads in like Western Plagueland. So having a stash of these is awesome for that. And also if you're tanking Stratholme or Skolo, they're amazing. And yeah, if you're like leading a group in there, you can just grab all of them from the boxes. Uh, yeah. Um, and Divine Intervention, that can save you. So having a good keybind for that to save you from having to do a wipe run. And of course, Righteous Fury. You always want to have this on when you're tanking. Whenever I see it's below 15 minutes remaining, I always refresh it, and that kind of helps me. And having a keybind for it, I definitely recommend. Over here I have my mouse wheel down keybinds, so that's Mount, Blessing of Freedom, and my rocket boots. So one tangent is that if you're going to play a protection paladin, you should absolutely go engineering. It's going to benefit you all the way, just from the start to the end. The first a huge thing, well, so it gives you a ranged pull, which is great. And it's also going to give you a awesome trinket as early as like level 20. uh, re it's called the Minor Recombobulator. Here it is. So you wear this trinket. It's really easy, cheap to make. All it needs is a moss agate, some bronze, and this is gonna give you an extra health or mana whenever you need it. So it's like a free potion that doesn't share a cooldown with other potions. So this is a huge reason to go engineering as a prot paladin, along with grenades for range pulling. So yeah, just saying that you also get rocket boots, which can help you in PvP, whether you want to chase somebody or escape. It can also kill you if it malfunctions, but yeah, it's good item to have. Anyway, 1 through 9 I have bound to my mouse, which is a Razer Naga, which is a mouse that has 12 buttons on the side. So I have I double bind the last 2 rows, so not 7 and 10, 8 and 11, 9 and 12. They share the bind, and then I have shift modifiers for all of them, and even some control modifiers for them. So a lot of binds needed for a paladin. These ones on the control modifier are pretty situational. Shift ones semi-situational, and the main abilities I use all the time. So I have those for Seal of Righteousness, Judgment, Hammer of Wrath, Holy Shield, rank 1 Holy Shield actually. The thing about it is that the only thing ranks of Holy Shield do is do more damage. So, and I mainly think of Holy Shield as damage mitigation. You only really care about the damage. I mean, the damage is nice, but the key thing is the damage mitigation. Because in the end of the day, that's why you go protection. Is that Holy and Retribution simply don't provide you with any tools for taking less damage. So that's why you go protection to begin with. And I also do downranking of Consecration. The max rank is the most efficient as far as damage goes, but like in PvP, you'll want to use rank 1 for like finding rogues or protecting yourself from rogues. And I have rank 3 here also because it's half the mana and half the damage of max rank, and so I just use that for situations where I'm dealing with a lot of like ads that are getting spawned, so I don't run out of mana gathering those. So yeah, I got those 3 ranks of Consecration here. I got minimum rank Holy Shield, max rank Holy Shield. That's just it. I use max rank Holy Shield if I can afford it. If you're tanking like 10 mobs, obviously you would favor Consecration, but if you're only tanking like 2 or 3 mobs, then Holy Shield is actually more efficient. So that's where I would use max rank more than rank 1. Here's Blessing of Protection. You should be using this all the time as a pally tank. It's basically your taunt. You want to talent this to have it be 3 minutes cooldown. Blessing of Sacrifice is like your plan B taunt, where somebody is taking damage and you can't get it off them, so you Blessing of Sacrifice them. So every hit they take, you take 55 damage of it. So that's good. I mean, if you can't help somebody by taunting off them, then you can at least take some of the damage they're taking. So yeah, just another option there. So yeah, here's my healing abilities again. I just have those double bound. When I get bored healing as a paladin, so I can use the mouse wheel for a while, and then I can switch to the keyboard. I don't know. Um, but it is nice to have more than one bind for those, just because when you want to heal, I don't know. That's just my preference. Below those, I have the key bounds for my blessings. So I do recommend binding your blessings because it makes them less painful to use. Especially, it's more so when you're leveling, when you don't have the greater versions, that you'll be casting them all the time. So that's where I keybound them. And then I just kept them when I hit 60, because you do not have to use them as much once you get to the greater versions. Um, so yeah, here's Exorcism. I mainly just use the rank 6. It's like a taunt against undeads, and I use rank 1 if I'm like trying to pull. It's kind of like it's really cheap, so I use it to pull undead packs. So if I'm like trying to line a sight around a corner or something, pretty situational. And then here's the seals. I mainly only use Seal of Righteousness and Seal of Wisdom. Justice, never. Crusader, never. Seal of Light. If I run into like an elite rare, then I will use Seal of Light to kill it. Judgment of Light, Seal of Light, because it makes you slow at killing them, but it just makes you so efficient. Like you just keep healing yourself, so you can take down elites with the Seal of Light. Um, Seal of Wisdom you use in AoE situations where you want to use Consecration and max rank Holy Shield. So if you use Judgment of Wisdom and Seal of Wisdom at the same time, you can totally keep spamming Holy Shield max rank and Consecration max rank. That's what you're doing in AoE farming situations. At any time in dungeons where you're just AoE taking for prolonged periods, like those undead packs in Stratholme are perfect for using Seal of Wisdom on. Anyway, here's Redemption. um, Kind of here's my other versions of the blessings. I don't want to keybind freaking every single one. Here's my boots that I switch on. Consumables, weapons I swap to. So I actually have a ton of weapons as a Prot Paladin. There's a lot of different situations that you would use them in. So I have them all here for quick use. And then like professions, riding gear, and yeah. Up here is where I bind my keyboard. So I use F, G, H, E, R, and T, along with shift modifiers for them. These are where I generally put my oh shit buttons. I actually ended up using F for my water and food. So I do recommend key binding water just because you drink so much as a protection paladin. So that's what I'm doing here, and I just press F every time I drop out of combat. And I haven't figured out what to put in G, but I use H for lay on hands, and E for grenades, so for ranged pulling. It's mainly for that, or if I need to do like an AoE interrupt. I don't use it that often, but it's great to have. Reason B engineering. R I use for trinket, and the shift modifiers, perception. So these are kind of just like PvP cooldowns. I do put Holy Wrath on Shifty. I pretty much only ever use this if I'm healing and want to DPS uh, some undead mobs, I can Zul grub some of the undeads in there. I'll throw out a Holy Wrath. And I'll also use it in when I'm AoE farming, because I have a Hand of Edward the Odd, which has this proc that makes your next spell cast instant, so perfect to use Holy Wrath with that if I'm AoE farming undeads. And then for T, I have Divine Shield and Divine Protection. The reason I still keep Divine Protection on my bars is that it's only 15 mana, and there's situations where you want to just use it and then click it off immediately, so it is more efficient for purposes like that. And I can't say enough how good like Divine Shield is as a cooldown when you're tanking. Like if you ever see yourself like hit 5% health, just pop Divine Shield, and I mean it's better than you dying. Yeah, I mean you lose all your aggro when you pop this, but you get it right back after you click it off. So that gives you, I mean that gives your healer like a few extra seconds to heal you. So you just click it off once you go back up to like 50% health, and then everything goes back onto you because you're generating so much threat as a Prot Paladin with consecration and stuff. So, um, so yeah. Um, Next, I guess I'll talk about my gear and my bags. Um, right now, I'm wearing my tanking gear. I guess I accidentally put on my trinket, but here it is. Helm of Executioner. You can see I enchanted it with a ZG enchant. It cost me about 200 gold to get it, in like a gold bid run. So, but it's totally worth it. It's like the best tanking enchant you can get. So I put it on my Helm of Executioner, which you get from Strathland Dead. It's pretty much the best tanking helmet you can get, unless you want to get a plus defense one, but getting 2% hit this way means you don't need that. Basically caps your hit for 5-man dungeons, so it's just a really good piece to have because it also has 20 stamina on it. So that's from Strath Undead. Here I have a spell damage neck from Sul'Gurub. So this is the thing I bought, or you could win as a healer, and it just helps with threat. Mana per 5 is nice as a tank. You'll see I have that on all the other gear. Polished Obsidian Pauldrons. These are a BOE from AQ20. These are you're only gonna find better than these in Sul'Gurub, maybe on par with. But yeah, unless you're getting into raids and getting like Blackwing Lair, Drake Fang Pauldrons, these are the best you can get. So yeah, get these if you see them on the auction house. Otherwise, there are a bunch of shoulders you can get from Strath or Skolo that are good, or Dire Maul too. So lots of options for shoulders, but these are, I think, the best you can get. Overlord's Embrace. This is another thing I got from CG. Normally I would use a spell damage cloak, but this cloak has a % block on it. This is like the only tank cloak that has that, so it might be like best in slot for paladins, because paladins are all about blocking. Like if you're running Blessing of Sanctuary and you got like 20% passive block, then you're just gonna be a threat machine. And then here you can see I collected the Deathbone set. It may not be the best, but it is really good. Like some people say you should not focus on defense as a paladin tank, but I went for it, and it's just really good because the defense helps you objectively just stay alive, it increases all your mitigation um, as far as parry, dodge, and stuff, block. And then it also has mana per 5 on it. So this kind of can help you get away from using Blessing of Wisdom and use Blessing of Sanctuary if you just have a bunch of gear with mana per 5 on it. Then here I have Soulforge Bracers. Pretty easy to get and gives you some damage and healing, which just it helps your Consecration and Holy Shield threat. I was using Lawbringer Bracers because you can buy these pretty cheap off the auction house. They have a little bit more mana. They have mana per 5. I probably use these when I'm tanking 5-mans, and I use Soulforge for the mana per or for the damage and healing when I'm AoE farming. And here's more Deathbone, just enchanting everything. I did put another CG enchant on my Deathbone leggings. It just makes them amazing. I mean, it basically turns it into like a molten core drop. Very cool if you can afford to quote unquote waste your CG enchants on your tank gear. And because I mean they aren't amazing for healing. Plus 24 healing is the best you can get, but the other things are wasted as a healer, so I don't know. Paladin's probably you can get away being a healer as a paladin without if you're suspiciously missing your CG enchants. It's all right because you can get the +8 healing from Dire Maul instead. Anyway, yeah, Deathbone. Then I have Nagelring from Blackrock Depths. This just like adds on to my damage with Retribution Aura. Very good. It doesn't have a lot of stamina on it, but yeah, I'm just thinking as it helps with threat, so it's good. My other big thing I got from Silgrub is Overlord Onyx Band. I think this is probably best in slot for Paladins. It's the only rank with 2% block, so again, just trying to stack that block so that Blessing of Sanctuary is amazing, and it's the bread and butter of a Paladin tank is blocking. So definitely a good ring if you can get it, and you should because it's not that great for warriors. Then here for my trinkets, I actually have I have Briarwood Reed, so that's just it adds like 2 more damage to the ticks of Consecration. Just really nice for threat. And then Mind Tap Talisman, so more mana per 5. My Librum, I use Librum of Divinity. It's just the other Librums are kind of trash. So just using the best healing with Librum is fine. When I'm using Edward the Odd and I'm flashlighting myself, then this is good. So onto my weapon and shield. I actually have I have 4 main hands and 3 shields I use most often. Well, 4 shields. So yeah, these are the shields I think that you should try to get really fast at level 60. The first one I'm going to talk about is Argent Defender. This basically requires you to run Strath Live twice and then Strath Undead once, and then you get this, and it is so great. What it does is it has a 1% chance when struck in combat of increasing chance to block by 50% for 10 seconds. That basically means you take no damage when you're AoE farming for 10 seconds. That is incredible. So it's like your own shield wall. You can use it in dungeons, but I would use something else once you get something with more armor or a lot of stamina on it. But yeah, totally keep this for AoE farming. It's going to beat everything else, because once this procs, you're doing so much reflect damage with, you put a thorium spike on it, then you got Blessing of Sanctuary, and yeah, it's great. So much damage. Um, anyway, so that's what you use for AoE farming. Next shield, Draconian Aegis of the Legion. This drops an Upper Blackrock Spire from the Summon boss for the dungeon set quest. This is the only shield you can get with damage and healing on it, so really nice to have. I mainly just use this as my healing shield, but um, it could be good in AoE farming as well. If you're not, like, the thing about Argent Defender is you would want to use this if you're like AoE farming like 20 mobs, 10 or 20 mobs at the same time. Draconian Aegis might be better if you're doing like 5 mobs at a time, because it'll make your Consecration do more damage, your Holy Shield do more damage, but you're not going to be getting hit enough where this proc from Argent Defender is going to do much for you. So just having another shield for when I'm AoE farming other things, and it's also like the best healing shield, so there's that. Next is Zulian Defender. This is incredibly easy for paladins to get from ZG because no one else is going to roll on it, so very easy to get. I gold bid it for 30 gold, so that was great. And I actually enchanted this with blocking plus 2% instead of Thorium Spike. So this is kind of like my mitigation shield that I would use when I'm fighting a boss that's really tough. And this actually gets me up to what? Almost 14% block. So really nice. It has 15 stamina on it, so yeah, I would just use this for bosses and dungeons, or if I'm just feeling weak, the healer sucks. Something like that. And then last but not least is my Skull Flame. So this is obviously the coolest shield in the game to have. Just look at it, man. Fucking fire. It is also good in dungeons. This is actually the shield I used the most in dungeons. One, it has 10 fire resistance, 10 shadow resistance, so that's good for so many dungeons. It's good for Skullo, it's good for Strath Live, it's good for Strath Undead, and those are like the main dungeons, so it's great for those. I put a spike on it, and then it has these procs, which are honestly kind of underwhelming. A 35 life steal, 3% chance, and around 100 damage fire AoE, 1% chance. So those procs are actually worse than Argent Defender. But this thing has a lot of armor on it, and those resistances, and just it looking badass. That's why I end up using it the most. So yeah, I kind of calculated it to be that just tracking my damage, that these procs are about equivalent to a thorium spike. So it's like you have 2 thorium spikes on this shield. So that's what you're giving up these stats or this proc for. Not bad. I do prefer it over Crest of Retribution, which people get from Strath Undead, which it has like an on-block damage effect. But I found that Skull Flame Shield is better. So there you go. Next is weapon. Here I have the Hikari Manslayer. This from Hikari ZG. Yeah, it synergizes with spell damage. So if you're stacking spell damage, then this is gonna heal you for 100, 200 damage. Adds up. This is like probably the easiest threat weapon you can get, because not many people want this. Like only warriors can use it, and it isn't amazing for them. Like they have better options. So there's definitely opportunities for you to get this if you run CG. Um, but I would only use this like solo play. I don't use it in dungeons. What I tend to use is Bloodlord's Defender. This thing's just a beast. Also from CG, but it has 15 stamina on it, some defense and armor. So it helps keep you alive. Like if you stack this with Zulian Defender, that's 30 health between them, and it just makes you much more stronger as far as taking damage. So yeah, just if I'm getting my ass kicked, then I'll wear these. But I do like using Skull Flame because it's so cool. And then my other weapon, I have a healing weapon. I don't really use that ever except when I'm healing, of course. And then Hand of Edward the Odd. So this is another option I can use if I'm getting my ass kicked in a dungeon where my healer isn't great, so I can kind of heal myself with this thing. Again, it has the proc where you can cast your next spell instantly, so I use that for like flashlight. Also, it's a necessity for AoE farming, combining it with Argent Defender. So that way you got like two procs going, one for the shield wall for 10 seconds, and the other for healing yourself or casting like Holy Wrath. So really great. I picked it up for like 200 gold off the auction house, so if you can get it cheap like that, it's really worth it. You'll totally make it back AoE farming because it'll just let you pull so much more than you would otherwise. So yeah, but in dungeons I tend to use this Bloodlord's Defender. One weapon that you actually should pick up when you're leveling from Zul'Farrak is the Hand of Antu's Soul. This is basically a weapon that has Thunderclap attached to it as a proc, so that's damage reduction, and you can use your Fiery Blaze enchant on this. So this is the weapon I used basically all the way to 60 until I got Zul'Gurub weapons. Is this thing, it does a Thunderclap and an AoE damage. So great for threat, great for damage mitigation, and it'll last you to 60 and you get it at level 40. And again, I recommend using your Fiery enchant for this. I still have it in my bank, I just don't carry it around with me because I do have so much AoE ability now. But yeah, just wanted to note that because I left that weapon leveling. Other stuff I carry, I use a variety of trinkets. Force of Will if I want to stack more defense, although I already have plus 99 with what I'm wearing, so I tend to just use these spell trinkets instead. Insignia of the Lions. This is good for some of the bosses that fear, like Balthazar and Stratlive. He can fear you or polymorph you. So this can save you from that. Considering you're not a warrior, you can't Berserker Rage. Then an Engineer, another good thing about that is you get your gadgets and teleport. So get to Kalimdor really quickly. Amazing to have. Ruin of the Dawn. So this is the Argent Dawn trinket for collecting Scourge Stones. You have the choice of getting this one or the attack power one, and I say get the spell damage one because you'll use this as tank, and I mean with with Briarwood Reed and this, that's what, plus 77 spell damage. That's a ton of threat, and yeah, I don't think the attack power one's worth getting because honestly, Ret sucks. But it's up to you. If you want to play a Ret Paladin, then get the attack power one. But this is what Prot Paladin should get. That's all I'm saying. Then I carry a Blackhand's Breath. For some reason, I'm like soloing and I'm not AoE farming, then Black Hound's Breath is decent, I guess. I don't know. Then my riding gear. I actually have it misplaced. I put minor mount speed on my death grips, so this is just a situational thing for disarm immunity. You only really run into that in Strath Live. And it isn't a big deal for paladins if they get disarmed, because your damage is, or your threat is reliant on your holy stuff, which isn't based on your damage, your weapon. So it's all good. I rarely use this. I just have it as my riding gear, and then I put spurs on my rocket boots. That's fine. Then here's my offset stuff. So I always carry a healing set. The spec I run is protection holy, so I just, no matter what situation I'm in, I can tank or heal on demand. So I'm carrying some pretty decent gear that I've gotten from just from raiding. It's pretty easy to get gear as a holy paladin. So I've actually gotten some pretty good stuff from doing 20 mans, and I actually farmed an axe at one point, got this belt. It's really good. I do normally use it for tanking, but I got the full Deathbone set, so if I want to go full mitigation, this is what the gear looks like that I wear. So yeah, I just carry a healing set. This is an alternative ring that I have where if I want to stack stamina, so kind of going, if I'm going full stamina mode, I can use this for +8 compared to Nagel Ring. And you get this from Band of Resolution from Argent Dawn. Then I carry 2 stacks of mana biscuits. Absolutely. If you don't have a mage in your party, you need these. A stash of them. Like, you can't expect totally to go through 40 mana biscuits if you don't have mage water. And carrying some Runeclath bandages. You honestly don't need to carry 2 stacks, I just happen to at this point. And then I carry a bunch of potions. Just always good to have for staying alive or if you run out of mana. Then here's my holy water for AoE farming or when I'm running Skolo or Strath. Grenades, good to have these for ranged pulling. My two-handed weapon, kind of use that for PvP combos with Reckoning, so that's good. And I can DPS with this set. I just put on all my spell damage gear, put on my two-hander, and then I Seal of Righteousness and Exorcism, and it's pretty great. Night Dragon's Breath, this you get from Fellwood, and it's basically a mana, it's a rejuvenation potion that is not on the same cooldown as potions, so amazing to farm these. And you can actually farm these while AoE farming, so I'll make a video about that at some point, where Paladins should always have a stack of these, and it's so helpful. So yeah, I think that's about it. As you can see, I have quite a bit of gold on this character. You can, I totally tell you that protection paladins are the kings of making gold. Maybe not as much as mages, but pretty damn good. So yeah, I guess that's gonna end my video on protection paladins. It's good to be back making videos. So hopefully you'll leave me some feedback whether you found this useful. I hope it was. Good luck in Classic, everybody, and stay tuned. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to see some more videos that I plan on putting out about WoW Classic, and yeah, see you then.